Hi, this will be a short video introduction to JavaScript. Here I am in brackets, and I have a folder called JS Example, and I will create a brand new text file and save it into the folder. So here's my new file. I'm going to save this file into the folder here, and we'll call it index.html. Oops. We'll need an X, right? Okay. And so how does JavaScript work? Well, if we had a basic, HTML document here, let's do the doc type there and the HTML tag and the head tag and the title tag and the body tag. There we go, right? So we've got a basic HTML document. What can we do with JavaScript? Well, we can link JavaScript to an HTML file, or we can write JavaScript directly into the HTML file. Okay, so how do we do that? Well, if we wanted to create JavaScript in its own file, we could make a new file like this. So I'll do Command N. I'll save this file into the same folder and call it main.js. Okay, so JavaScript files are just plain text files like HTML and CSS files, but we give them the .js extension, okay? And we can link to our .js file in or with the script tag. So there's our script tag. And what we'll do is we'll use the source attribute, okay? And we'll link to our file this way. So we'll say source equals path to our JavaScript file. Okay, so we can do that, and you could actually put this in the head of the document or in the body tag. I prefer to put it at the bottom of the body tag, and I'll explain why in another example, but for this example, just take my word for it. My JavaScript. Can I type today? There we go, right? My JavaScript is here. So I'll just put an HTML comment there to remind me that this is linking to my JavaScript. The other way you can add JavaScript to your documents is you can write it inside the script tag. Notice here I don't use the source attribute, and if I use the source attribute, I can't also put script inside the tag. Okay, so that doesn't work. So if you have the tag like this, and you do have to, even if you don't have anything in the tag, you do have to include the closing tag. And if you have a script tag like this without the source attribute, then you can type your JavaScript here, JS here. Okay. For this example, we'll put the JavaScript in main.js. Okay, and we're going to just do a couple simple examples just to get a feel for how JavaScript works. Okay, so we should be linking to our file. So we might as well open up this index file in the browser. So let's go get our browser here, and here's my index.html. I'll drag it into the browser, and there it is. And the first thing I'm going to do while I'm in the browser is right-click and choose Inspect Element. And I'm in Safari right now. If you're in Chrome, it'll be the same thing. You can right-click, and it'll say it a little differently, but you know what I'll do is I'll just go get Chrome here, and we can drag this into Chrome there. And if I right click, you can see it says inspect at the bottom, and then I get the inspector over here. If I switch to Safari and I choose inspect, you'll see that I get the inspector. In this case, the inspector shows up at the bottom. You can actually place this thing, so if you want to put it on the side, you can do that too. Anyway, we'll look at it like this, right? Now here's one catch. If you're using Safari, the inspect menu item here, inspect element, won't show up always, okay? And if it doesn't show up, what you'll need to do is you'll need to go to the Safari menu and choose Preferences. And under Preferences, you're going to go to Advanced. And under Advanced, the very last item here in the box, it says Show Develop Menu in Menu Bar. And you'll see there's an item here called Develop at the top there. And if, this is the menu right here, right? If I uncheck the box, you'll see that menu item disappears. And if we don't have that menu item, you can't choose Inspect. It doesn't show up on the menu when you right-click. So let's go put that back, right? So we'll check the box and the develop menu will be there and we will be able to inspect our pages, okay? So anyway, so what's the inspector good for? Well, the inspector shows you the DOM so you can inspect all the HTML elements that you have. And I don't really have much here. I just got the empty title tag and the empty body tag. Well, it's got 2 script tags in it, right? And then it also gives us some other information like network and resources and a debugger and a storage and a timeline. And this very last item here that says console, okay? This is what we want to use with JavaScript here. When I click on the console, it opens up an area here that shows us, like printouts from our JavaScript. So if we're running JavaScript, we can send messages to the console for testing, okay? A lot of programming stuff has this. So, Xcode has a console. This is the console in the browser, okay? And Safari has this also. You can see on Safari I have the inspector on the side here. I don't see the console here, so I'll click on this last item and you can see, actually for some reason, oh yeah, there's the console, they put it here. Anyway, there's the console there, and you can switch this too. I think you can click on this thing and move it to the bottom if you like, right? I'll zoom in a little bit, okay? So what's the console do for us, right? Well, let's... let me hide that for a minute. I'll just do my examples in Safari here. And what are we going to do? Well, let's go to our file here, main.js, because remember, we're linking to the JS, and so the JavaScript that's running in this script that we link to right here is in the file here, right? In JavaScript, you can write a comment with the double slash or the, slash with the asterisk. So this is, comment. And this is also a comment, okay? And if you want to write some code, you can just write it in here too. So let's do that. If we say console.log, it will send a message to the console. So if I want to say, hello world, then I can do that. And when I refresh my page in the browser, watch the console down here, you can see it says hello world. Right? And so I get that. And on this side, you can see it says global code, main.js, line 4, right? So if I go back to my code here and I look, oh, look, console log was run on line 4, okay? Let's just do a couple simple things. In JavaScript, all variables are global unless they are scoped to a particular code block. We'll talk more about that later. So essentially, all these variables are global and they're accessible anywhere. Let's make a variable. What if I put name equals Mitchell, score equals 430, 400,030, okay? And what if we say high score equals 500,000? Okay, something like that, right? So we'll just put some numbers in there, right? And, if we wanted to print these out, we could say console.log name, right? And then if we wanted to print something else out, we could say console.log score, and console.log, high score. Okay, so I'll save that. And when I go back to the browser, I'll have to refresh to run my program again. And then you can see it says hello world, Mitchell, and then the numbers, right? And then it tells me where these were run. Okay, so let's do a little bit more, right? So, so that looks pretty good, but I want to actually print a message that is, more interesting. So I'll do console log, and then I'll say name plus, right? So it'll say my name. And then I'll do plus another string, and I'll say your score is colon, and then I'll do plus score, right? And so what I'm doing here is I'm concatenating this variable with the string, and in JavaScript you use the plus sign as the concatenation operator, right? And we can concatenate this other variable here with the end of the string. So this should turn everything here into a string. And it'll print it out here. Mitchell, your score is 400,030, okay? And then we can say, hey, if, so we'll write an if statement in JavaScript. So we'll say if, and this is a pretty typical if statement, looks the same in a lot of languages. We'll say, hey, if score is greater than high score, then print console.log name has the new high score, right? Else console.log name did not set a new high score. Just something like that. Okay, so we'll test this out and we'll see what happens. And you can see that I did not set a new high score. Okay, so this is pretty typical code stuff that you'd see in a lot of places. Here is how you do it in JavaScript. I'll do some more videos with some more stuff here, and I'll kind of talk more about some of the things that JavaScript does in the next video. But anyway, that's how we'd set this up, right? You got your HTML document, you're linking to your script here, and you've got the source attribute, and you're linking to a script. And then in the source file, you write just JavaScript code, okay? You can define a variable with the keyword var. You can give it a value. Variables don't have to have a type. They can be any type. You can just set them in anything. Essentially, JavaScript has a few types. It's got a number and a string, and then it's got an array and some object types, right? Okay. So anyway, thanks for watching, and I hope that gets you started on your JavaScript explorations.